Thank you for coming in again today, Jen. We're trying to get this ironed out here. And I told you we learned some new information, okay, about the investigation, and I just wanted to run it by you, okay? We talked in detail last time, right, about, what happened in October and November and the morning of. We went through that. Come to find out, Diz, who is a little bit extreme, I think, a little bit of a wacky lady, she had some suspicions that maybe something was going on. She wasn't sure if it was you or Cody, but she, with the hair loss and the black eyes on the child, she gets on the internet, she does some research.
She does the Google thing,
right?
She says.
Right. So whenever in October at some point when I guess the baby had the black eyes, I think it wasn't, I believe it was October, right? Did you ever hear of a nanny cam? Nanny cam?
No.
Okay, well, she had some nanny cams put into the trailer. She had one put into the bedroom, okay, of Soph's, okay. She had one put in the living room and the kitchen area. And from my understanding, they're pretty high tech. She paid a lot of money for these. I guess she really loves Soph. I don't know. Is that true? Does she really love Soph? Yeah. Okay, so we're in the process. She just told us this because she was out in Pittsburgh with her. One good thing about Soph is that she was able to save another baby's life. Did you know that?
No.
With her organs, yeah. So another baby got to live that was going to die. So not so bad. I mean, I'm not saying that.
Do you only have one organ or do you have two?
Well, you have organs all through your body. You have a liver,
your heart,
kidneys, heart, all that was able to be used for other babies that wouldn't have lived. So she may have saved more than one.
Right, yeah, I'm not sure what all they use.
But anyways, we're in the process. Diz called us when she got back. She said that she had these nanny cams in the trailer and that she's in the process of she's going to bring them in and let us take a look at them. Okay? Now, with that being said, I know we went over the Friday morning on what happened. Is there anything different that we're going to see on there than what you told us? Whenever you went into the bedroom, is there anything different that's going to be on there than what you initially told us?
No.
How about in the living room area? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. How about any other time? You said that you shook her twice in October. Is there going to be any other times that you might have shaken her?
Well, I left in September because it was whenever my senior pictures were. That's when.
When what?
I left was in September. I thought it was October.
I thought you moved in September, the end of September.
Yeah, the end of September.
Okay.
But I stayed like a week or so and then I left.
Okay. Well, whichever. These cameras were installed at some point. Is there going to be any other indications that you shook her besides the 2 times you told me about?
No.
No, just those 2 times? Okay. All right. Well, if we can go back, the first time you shook, okay, you said, is that the time she was on the chair?
Yeah.
Okay. And what did she do? She
was just crying for no reason. I'm like, stop.
And she wouldn't stop.
No.
And did you grab her by her head and do it? How did you grab her?
It was just
like this. And you
she
shook
was
her?
in the middle and my hands were like both sides of her.
Okay. And what happened after you did that? You shook her a little bit.
I shook her once and then she cried and then she quit.
Okay. And is that when you went back and you beat yourself up because you felt bad? Was that one time? Okay. Good.
I'm just wondering, we got like those things back there. I wonder if we bring one of those like
Dolls.
It's not exact the doll, but maybe you could show us exactly how you're holding her and how you're doing this, and we can understand better. Is that okay? Rather than just because I'm not sure I understand exactly how you have her. So if we get something, it's not quite one of those little things we got back there. It's not quite like a doll, but at least you can maybe show us how this went down so we understand a little better. Okay?
All right.
Give me a second here.
And Jen, when we look at, and I'm being, you to I here, okay? No lies, right? No lies today. When we examine all that video footage, are we going to see anything else? Are we going to see you gouging her, you disciplining her the same way you discipline yourself? No, you didn't. Have you ever grabbed her head? You never grabbed her head in a forceful manner?
I have no reason to grab her head.
Well, if she's bawling like a baby, you do stuff, like I said, you do stuff that, just shut up, you know what I mean? And, you know, it's funny. I told you, I can't imagine being 18 and put in that position. I couldn't have done it, and I wouldn't have done it, okay? I don't like kids unless I have 2 kids of my own. I like my kids, but honestly, I don't like anybody else's. I mean, they're okay, but I don't want to take care of them. Because, you know, when your own kid, your own flesh and blood goes to the bathroom or something, you have to clean them up, and their throat, you have to clean them up. That's different. But when it's somebody else's, I don't know. I lose it. I just don't have that motherly nature about me. I can be motherly to my kids, but somebody else's, I really don't like their kids. Usually they're brats. You know what I mean? They're spoiled. I don't know. There's a disconnection with me with other kids. And to be 18 years old, and I think, and Joe and I were talking about this, 18 years old taking care of a baby, you know, that's not yours. How did you do it? I mean,
I don't even know.
how did you do it? I just can't imagine how you did it day in and day out. How did you get through it?
I just pushed myself forward.
It's not quite, but maybe this will give us a little better understanding. We'll just, like I said, but this is, we'll get the idea here. I mean, this is like a person as far as we'll say these are the legs, all right? And these are the 2 arms, okay? And this is her head. So I'll let you hold that. How would you have held her when
It was just like this on the chair.
Okay.
you held her so she's sitting on your lap?
No, she was sitting beside me.
She's like on a chair.
Okay. Well, this is exactly how it would have been. So if you're sitting on, now where are you sitting at?
Right beside her because I don't want the dog biting her. And
So you're sitting on the chair?
yeah.
The couch or love seat?
It's the chair. It's big enough.
It's a wide chair?
Yeah.
So like a living room chair or a kitchen chair?
Living room.
Okay. So you're sitting there on the chair and Sophia's sitting beside you.
Yeah.
She's sitting or standing? What's she
She's
doing?
sitting.
She's sitting on the chair. Okay. And she's crying?
Yeah.
For no reason.
For no apparent reason.
Yeah, she cries for no reason.
Just screaming.
Yeah.
Pretty loud.
Does she want Cody or?
She don't say. Like, I'll ask her if she wants to go pee and she'll start crying. Like, you have to go pee. They say take her every hour, every half hour. Take her as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so you're sitting there, and she's sitting beside you, and then now just like demonstrate to us what.
It was just front and back. Like, her head didn't go forward, but it went forward, but it was just front and back.
Did you
One time.
Did you go like that? Like real
No.
quick?
Just quick. It wasn't like.
You didn't go woo woo.
No.
It was just a real quick. Okay, go ahead and demonstrate just exactly how you did it.
It was just front and back.
And did she cry more after that?
Just a little bit, but then she quit.
Okay, now what did you do after that?
Got up and went back to the bedroom.
And left her on the chair, crying. And what did you do back in your bedroom?
Hurt myself.
Okay.
And explain that to us. Why would you hurt yourself if? So how hard? So you have her here. She's sitting there beside you. You have her here, and you're just. So how many times did you go back and forth like that?
Just once.
Just once, like that. And you felt really bad about that.
Why'd you feel bad about it?
Because she was only a baby.
Did you feel that was a little bit too much?
I felt like I shouldn't have done it.
Did you feel you crossed the line for discipline? You can have a seat back over there. It's more comfortable. So you felt that was a little bit harsh for discipline.
Because we normally smack her butt or smack her hand.
Okay. What was it? What was the second time?
She was crying again for no reason.
Same day?
No.
How far apart?
Couple weeks.
Couple weeks. So it sounds like she was kind of a difficult child at times. Correct?
Yeah.
She was very test your patience type child if she was crying for no reason at all.
She cries for no reason, and Cody's like, I'm gonna give you something to cry about if you don't stop, and she won't stop, and then
Right, so she's frustrating. She can frustrate a person then fairly easily because of her crying.
but most of the time I just let her cry it out. But if it goes on and on,
Is it like that annoying screaming cry? You know, because kids sometimes can just like, or is it like a whiny type cry? Just
Well, she's not screaming or anything. She's just crying.
like that whiny, like annoying one, or just, can you describe how she,
It's just crying. Like she's not screaming or like whining. It's just crying.
and she won't say what's wrong?
No, I'll ask her and she won't even say.
So that can be frustrating, I'm sure.
A little bit. I'm like, are you hungry? And then she'll quit, and then she'll say, yeah. Or she'll shake her head.
So how about the second time when you shook her the second time? What was the situation there?
She was crying.
She was crying. And how were you guys seated again, or what?
We were standing.
Standing. Okay. And how did that one go down? How would that one have been if you're standing? So you're standing
I
up.
had her just like, come on, teddy bear. It was just like this.
Okay. So you held her under her arms.
Was she on the floor?
No.
No, you had her in your arms?
Yeah, I was holding her, and then she was crying and everything.
Okay. And what'd you do? How did you shake her?
Just back.
Okay. And what did you do? How many times did you
One.
front and back? Okay. And what did you do after that?
Same thing.
What?
Went back to the bedroom.
Where did you put her?
I put her down.
Okay. Where at? On the floor? Or
Yeah.
And what led up to her? Wasn't there something with a potty this time?
Not this time.
Not this time. It was just she was crying for no reason. Was it early in the morning or was it
No.
second
God.
time?
I can't even remember.
And when you,
I think it's before her nap time.
so were you standing up too when you did it? Okay. Is she heavy or?
No.
No,
She's only like 25 pounds.
She's real tiny, isn't she? Okay. Okay, so you did it real quick, then you set her down, and she continued to cry.
Not for long. Like she'll quit.
Okay, and then you went back into the bedroom, and what did you do back there?
The same thing that I did
And why
before.
did you do that?
Because I shouldn't have done it again.
I told you, and that'll be on those nanny cams if that's the case. Did you do it any other times, hon? Are you sure about that? Seems like you have. Did they do it one more time?
Oh, no.
No? Are you sure it was 2 times? Are you sure it wasn't that morning?
Yeah.
That Friday morning? You sure nothing happened that Friday morning to put her into that comatose? Okay, this is opportunity, like I said, to tell us your side of the story. I mean, when you shook her those 2 times, I think you were just at a breaking point. Am I right there? You didn't know what to do. She was crying. We talked about this. Cody put you in a bad position. It's a kid watching a kid. You're stuck in there. You're a hostage. You have no car. You have no money. I don't know if you gave you a phone to call anybody. I don't know if you can get out in any way, if you can have communication with people. You should be out with Pee-wee, shouldn't you? Out with Pee-wee enjoying life. Even when you go with Pee-wee, you got to take the baby with you. It's not right. It wasn't right what Cody did to you. And when you shook that baby, it's his fault. It's not yours. It's his fault for putting you in that position. I believe that. I do believe that. And I feel bad for you because I don't know what I would have done in that same position. I really don't. And I'm speaking from my heart. But here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to lie to us about anything. I want you to be up front. If something happened that morning, you need to write the book on what happened. If it was an accident, it was an accident. If you made a mistake, you made a mistake. Okay, just like those 2 shakes, you made a mistake, right? Okay, if it happened 3 times, then please tell us because we need to figure out what happened to this baby, okay? I mean, thank God she lives on in other kids. She saved other kids' lives, so that's a good thing. So something good did come out of this, okay? But we need to figure out exactly what happened, okay? And I want you to be honest. I want you to write your story. I want you to be the author of your book. All we see is a baby was in some type of trauma that morning, and you're the last one with it. So we can just put whatever we think happened. The medical doctor can say what they think happened, but you're the only one who knows what really happened, right? And you know what happened throughout the time you were there. Okay, so we need to take it step by step. But one thing we need to do, Jen, I know you don't want to take this, okay? And I think you know why I don't think you want to take this? Can I be honest with you? Is because you think you're going to fail it. Am I right?
It just makes me nervous.
Well, because you know why it
I
makes you
never took
nervous?
one.
You know why it makes you nervous? Because you think you're going to fail it, okay? Because you feel responsible. You feel responsible for self. Am I right?
I do, because the guy at Pittsburgh said if you would have called once it happened, she would have been saved. But I had no idea what was going on.
Do you think any of your actions in October, September, whatever, November, do you think any of your actions by shaking her led to this?
It's possible.
Okay. Can I ask you to be
no idea.
honest with me? Can I ask you to be 100% honest with me? How many incidents have you shaken her? Separate.
Twice.
Okay. Have you ever gouged her eyes like you do yourself? Have you ever done anything else to her to harm her in any way? That Friday morning, I mean, she's trying to put her arm through the hole. She's fighting with you and stuff. Did you just kind of...
No, I just pushed her arm down.
Okay, were you upset about her potty training? Not lying to you about that. Doesn't that make you upset?
Not really. I figured you're sick.
Was she crying uncontrollably that morning? Was she crying a little bit that morning?
Just a little bit whenever I pushed her arm down.
Okay.
But that was it.
Okay. When you pushed her arm down, was it a little bit forceful? Could that have triggered something?
I just pushed it down.
Show me how you would have pushed it down.
I just pushed it down. I didn't. Hey, no.
Okay, when you say, you know what brought my attention? Did you comb her hair that morning?
No.
Okay. She has some bruises here, and I didn't know if you held her, some way that morning at all on her face or when you were combing her hair. You said a lot of times she has knots in her hair, and you have to hold her hair, her head. I mean, did that happen at all that morning?
No, I didn't brush her hair or anything.
Okay. When you brush her hair, how do you hold her head when you do brush her hair?
I'll just have like the back of it because the knots are mainly in the back, and I'll just hold it and just brush through because I don't want to rip through it and her head jerk back.
Okay, so you're not real forceful with her. Have you ever held your hand over her mouth to shut her up? And be honest with me. Never did that? Wanting her to shut up because she cries all the time?
I don't know if Cody would.
Okay, but you've never done that. And that Friday morning, I mean, in your heart of hearts, you're saying you did nothing to harm that baby that morning. So when we check that camera, there's not going to be anything on there, hon. That you took her out of the crib a little swift. That you got her attention when she's trying to put her arm in. You kind of snapped a little bit. There's nothing on that video that's going to say that. It's going to be exactly like you told us. Is that right? Yeah? No?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? I mean, because the doctor's saying that something happened that morning to trigger that. And we just can't get around it. And you're the last one with it. And like I said, if it was an accident, if you made a mistake that morning, this is your opportunity to tell us, okay? Write your side of the story, all right? There's two types, people who get involved in situations, there's two roads they take. There's a road they take that they lie and they continue to lie, okay, throughout the situation, and bad things happen to them. The worst that can happen to them, okay? Nobody wants to help them because they lie. And they know they did this, okay? So they lie, and they continue to lie. And, down the road, police don't want to help them. Nobody feels bad for them because they continue to lie. And then there's a person that says, I made a mistake, okay? I made a mistake. I'm 18 years old. I was in a bad situation, and I did something. And I don't think even when you shook soap, I don't think you ever meant to harm her. I don't believe that. And I'm telling you the truth. I don't think you ever meant to harm her. I think that you just, once in a while, frustration and you do it, just out of frustration. But you don't mean for her to get harmed. You don't mean to harm her. You don't mean for her to die, do you? Right? You don't want her to die. The only thing you want to do, I think you would like to get away from her. And I don't blame you for that. I would have wanted to get away from her too and live my own life at 18, but you don't want anything bad to happen to her. I do believe that. But the person that is honest and helps himself out and tells the truth about what happened those weeks you were there and that morning, that's a person that we respect, and that's a person that, we want to help. We want to help people who tell the truth, but we can't do anything for people who continue to lie, okay? I've had both ways. I've had people who will sit here and lie to me bull-faced for hours and hours. And you admit you lied to us at first, am I right? You said, yeah, I was scared, I lied, And that's fine, I understand that. You're 18, I understand that. You don't trust us, stuff like that. But I think that we've all been here long enough that you can tell us what happened. You know what I mean, Jen? This is over with now. And this isn't going to go away. Soph died, okay? But her organs live on in other babies. She saved other babies' lives. But this isn't going to go away because she is dead. This isn't going to go away, okay? So we need to work through this. We need to get to the bottom of this, to what happened, okay? You need to be, every little thing that happened that you did with her, we need to know, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to be honest. Is there anything you're leaving out, hon?
No.
You're just saying you shook her those 2 separate times. Because God forbid, when I look at that, I hope I don't, when I see that camera on that morning, that Friday morning, and I'm watching you, and if I see some type of behavior from you that you did harm that baby, I'm going to be disappointed. I'll be honest with you. I want to be able to trust you. I mean, can we trust you? Did anything happen that morning?
It's all normal.
What are you most afraid of, Jen? What are you afraid of?
No, God, I don't even know.
Oh, sure, you have to know. Tell us what you're afraid of. You have to be. I'm sure you're afraid. What are you afraid of most in this whole thing?
Well, I never had any of this happen, so that's kind of scary.
Oh, I understand that. That's what I'm saying. But what's the? How about for this? What are you most afraid of?
Well, I don't want anybody going to jail or anything.
Okay. You don't want anybody going to jail. Okay.
Do you think you should go to jail for this?
But I didn't do nothing.
Okay, what if by you shaking the baby that's what caused her death? Do you think you should go to jail then?
No, I don't even know.
Okay. Or do you think that you need some maybe parental skills, some type of counseling, some type of assistance on how to raise a baby at your situation? Do you think you need something like that? How to handle a baby? Need some education on that stuff?
I should have done that first.
Yeah.
But is that whoever did this? You think that would be maybe the appropriate? I don't want to call it something appropriate that they would have to do is maybe to go to counseling and get some help for maybe what happened. You think that would be appropriate? I don't know if I would call it punishment, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be appropriate that they would have to get some type of help?
Yeah.
And you said you really cared about Soph, right? If I'm not mistaken, the other day you said you loved her like your own. So I would think, at least I personally would, if I was in a situation and, I lost my temper and, just frustrated, whatnot, I would think that the right thing to do now is to be honest for Soph's sake. I think at least owe her that, to be honest about what happened. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's important that you tell us everything that happened. Do it for her. Make things right. Things happen, and things maybe didn't go the way planned, and I agree with Trooper Ronan. I don't think you're like this person that set out to hurt her. I think that you got caught in this bad situation. This guy saw you coming. Oh, this will be perfect. I can move her in here and take advantage of her, and she can watch my kid all day while I go to work, and I can come home and sleep and do whatever, and she can raise my kid. And it's a bad situation he put you in, okay? And he maybe seen it coming, and unfortunately you were the person that was there. And it's not fair. You quit school to move in with them, and you did a lot of stuff to go and to be with him. And I think I told you this today. I talked to you. I think you wanted to be with him, and a lot of times it's a bad situation because people want to be with the person, but they not necessarily want to be with the kids. You know what I mean? A lot of times, divorced people or whatever, people just have kids, and you get in a relationship and you really like the person, only to find out they have a kid, and you're like, oh boy, you didn't sign up for that. You know what I mean? And it's fair. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to do it myself. Okay, if I were to get in a relationship and I might like the person, but if they said they had 2 or 3 kids or even 1 kid and I had to do that, take care of the kid, I don't know if I'd want to get in that situation. You know what I'm saying? It's different raising your own children than someone else's children. And I don't blame someone for not wanting to raise somebody else's. Because I don't know if I would want to do it, to be quite honest with you. You know what I'm saying?
Now.
That's what I mean now. I don't think I'd want to do it. So we understand your frustration, okay? But at the same time, you have to be honest with us so we can get this worked out. Let me ask you this. Do you believe us when we tell you? I mean, the doctors are saying something happened that morning. Do you believe us?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the doctor said that when you were in Pittsburgh, correct?
I think so.
So you were, if I'm not mistaken, you were in the room when the doctor came in. That doctor was a female doctor, right? Eichelman?
We had
or
a male one.
A male one? Do you remember a female doctor coming in talking to you guys?
There was, what's her name? Oh, someone brought in a computer. Oh, I forget what her name was. It was her and another social worker. The social worker, what, I don't know.
How about Saturday morning then? Let's just talk about this for a second. Saturday sometime before they had asked you to leave there, okay? They came in to the room there, correct? Someone. My understanding was his doctor. I'm not sure if it's male or female. Now maybe I'm getting confused. But do you remember someone coming in talking to the family? You see, how do we overcome this? We can't overcome the medical people saying it happened that morning. That's the problem. Do you understand that? We can't overcome that. They're going to put it in writing. Okay? And they're going to say, this is when we believe that this is what happened, this is the injury she has, and this is how it happened, or what causes it, and it happened in this time frame. And you're the only person that's there. Do you understand that? So you have to help us understand what happened, okay, or why it happened. Because that's what's going to be important, is why it happened. You didn't intentionally set out to do it, but something happened that frustrated you, or you were upset with something. I think you were still mad at Cody from the night before, to be honest with you, because of the stuff you said the other day about him doing the drugs and whatnot with his friends and that, correct? You were upset with him still, and I don't blame you, because not only, there's another thing to add to his grief thing that he did to you. You know what I mean? Now he brought you in, now he's got you doing drugs in front of you and everything else, and you're not a druggie. So that's another thing that he did to upset you. So he really made you mad that night, Thursday night, and you're still upset. You told me you guys went to bed, but you didn't talk when you went to bed. All right, so he gave you numerous reasons to want to leave there, obviously, right? I mean, it wasn't a happy situation there, really. Were you ever happy with him?
I wasn't at first.
Okay. But it didn't take long for that to wear off, did it?
No, whenever he said I wasn't going to see my dad in the hospital,
No, and what kind of guy does that? He's 21 years old. Who is he to tell you can't go see your father in the hospital? You know what I'm saying? Really, that's holding you as a hostage. I mean, that's just crazy. What guy thinks he has a right to do that? That should have been, that's not right. He shouldn't have done that to you.
He says he's the boss.
Well, see, then so he's a control. He's one of those control freaks, huh? that he's the man and this is how it's going to be, and he's here and you're here and you do whatever he says.
I'm willing down there.
Well,
You're scared of him, right, Jen? And whenever you're scared of somebody, you can't, when he does stuff to you, you can't do anything back to him himself, because you're afraid of him. You're afraid what he's going to do to you. But there's some type of syndrome that when you're afraid of, and somebody's being, like, maybe he's verbally abusive to you in some way, you actually take that anger that you have towards him and you put it on somebody else. And I think that's what you were doing with Sophia. I do believe that. When you shook her, I think that was meant for Cody, but you can't, because you're afraid of what he'll do to you. So what you do is you transfer that anger to somebody else. And I think that's what you were doing with Soph. I do believe that. That's why I said, it's not your fault. It's Cody's fault. All this is Cody's fault. When he brought you in there, he set you up for this. And you knew he didn't even care about the baby. He wanted to shove it back up in the vagina, right? Isn't that what you told me?
Yeah,
He doesn't give two shits about that kid. What's that say to you? You see how he's not real nice to her. So, you're seeing that too. But although you're taking care of her, right? I mean, and I'm telling you, there's a syndrome out there that you take your anger and you transfer on somebody else. Just like I said, sometimes it's a dog, sometimes it's a kid. There's really no difference. And I believe that's what you were doing. When you shook Soap, that's what you did. And if that morning, you have every right to still be angry at him. If my boyfriend was doing drugs the night before, plus he smokes in the house I told you we both have allergies and stuff. I know how horrible that is, and cologne and all that crap. But the fact is, he has no respect for you. And there's that frustration and there's that anger, but God forbid you say something to him, because what's he tell you? He's either going to hurt you or he's going to throw you out in your ass. But you love him. So you're stuck in a hard spot right here. You know what I mean? And I just think that you reacted that morning. You let something out that shouldn't have went out, but it did. Okay? And you need to write that chapter in this book, okay? Or we're going to write it for you, and you don't want us to write it. All right? You made a mistake with her. There was an accident, and she threw her onto the couch a little bit hard. You threw her onto a porta potty a little bit hard, or whatever. Then this is your opportunity to tell us, okay? We want you to be honest with us, hon. We like you, okay? We do. You are a sweet girl, and you were put in a bad situation. I believe that in my heart of hearts, okay? I believe that. And I wish I could have took you. I wish I would have known you before, okay? Because I think we could have helped you get out of there, okay? Can't change it now. The only thing we can do is move on and tell the truth with everything, and move on and work this out, okay? So please be honest with us, hon, with what happened. I'm telling you, okay? It's not your fault. It's not your fault, okay? But we know that something happened that morning. We know it, okay? Please tell us, okay? And we will do what we can. All right, what happened that morning? Something happened that morning. I know it did. I know it did. The doctor knows it did. Everybody knows it did. It's not going to go away. It's going to be on video, okay? We know something happened, hon. What happened that morning? Did you shake her? Did you throw her on the couch? Did you hit her with something? I mean, wait,
No.
I don't think you would ever hit her with anything. I don't think you would ever cut her. She has a cut on her lip. I don't think you would ever cut her with a knife or anything. But what did you do to her? Were you a little bit forceful with her? Well, tell us, hon. I'm telling you, it's in your best interest to tell. It really is, because this isn't going away. A baby is dead, okay? So we got to figure out what happened to her for Soph, so Soph can rest. Soph's up in heaven now. Soph's in a better place. I do believe that. She wasn't in a good place at Cody's. Do you agree with me there? She's in a better spot, isn't she? She's up with God, and I do believe that. She's in a better spot. God love her. She's happy now. She's running up there, okay? And she's not going to get hurt anymore, okay? Nobody's going to hurt her anymore. She's going to be a good girl up there. You know that? What happened that morning, hon? Please, I understand your frustration. It was not your fault. It's Cody. Cody did this to you. But we need to find out what happened to her. She's happy now. She's in a good place. And guess what? Other babies get to live because of that. Okay, but we need to know what happened, honey. Tell us what happened.
I did.
And I think there's more. I really do. I think you shook her more than what you're telling us, okay? Because if you did it twice, you did it 3 times. If you did it 3 times, you did it more than that. That was kind of the way you got her attention. But you knew it was wrong, and you'd go back and you would discipline yourself, okay? How many times did you shake her? Now tell the truth.
Just twice.
I don't believe that, hon. I think it was more than that. I do. I do. You know, Soph knows what happened. Everybody knows what happened up there, okay? We're going to figure it out, right? Please cooperate and tell us everything that happened with her. I'm asking you, okay? I am begging you. Please, let's write this book and let's write it in your words. Can we do that? Tell us what happened.
I've been.
How many times did you shake her?
Just twice.
Was it pretty good shakes? It was, wasn't it? It was enough.
Kinda.
Yeah. It was enough
It
that you.
wasn't hard. It wasn't like harsh or anything. Like violent.
But it was bad enough that you felt bad about it. It wasn't like this.
Stop it, Soph.
No. It was violent. I don't believe that. I think it was violent. Okay? You agree with me there? Because you felt bad enough to go discipline yourself.
It wasn't hard. Like really hard.
It was hard enough though, right?
Pretty hard that you felt bad, right? I mean, if you just went like this, you're not going to really feel bad. But if you're a little bit more forceful, you're going to feel bad.
Do you ever throw her?
No.
Throw her in a pack and play or a crib? So you're going to tell us that video is not going to have anything on it. It's going to just show you exactly what you told us. Even the porta potty part when she lies to. I say porta potty.
Potty chair.
Potty chair. I'm sorry. There's not going to be anything there. You weren't upset with her. You weren't screaming at her that morning. We're not going to hear you screaming at her.
You're upset with Cody, though. Correct? We already established that. You're still mad at Cody from the night before. So you wake up the next day and you're still angry at him. Okay? So what does Soph do that really angers you even more? Because you're already mad. We've already know that. So you're mad because Cody, everything he's done keeps accumulating up. And then, plus the drugs the night before, Roy was like the icebreaker. So you're really up to here with him. And then what does she do that upsets you? She starts crying. She lied about peeing her pants. What?
But I figured she was gonna pee her pants. Every kid pees in a diaper.
And that's not true. It sounds like she's a little bit behind the 8 ball. At 2-year-olds, I bet you're going in the potty pretty good.
I have no idea.
Yeah, my kids were potty trained. Sounds like she was a little bit slow with that, which is frustrating. Sounds like I don't know why she was doing that. Why she couldn't get potty trained correctly.
Yeah. What are you frustrated with her? What did she do that morning frustrated?
She didn't do anything that morning. She lied, and I said, "Did you pee?" She said, "No." I said, "So if I can smell it."
Did that make you mad that she lied to you?
No.
I mean, because I think it did because Cody lies to you all the time, right? Does he lie to you?
Most of the time.
So you hate liars, probably. I hate liars. So you probably hate liars because so now you're like, okay, now here it's Cody lies to me all the time. Now here she's lying to me. You know what I'm saying? So that could make you angry because now she's lying just like her dad lies.
I don't want her to lie.
I understand that.
That'd be a good kid.
So what? We know something happened, okay? We just need to put the puzzle together from your perspective, okay? Because if not, then everything's going to go by what the doctors are saying. And you're not going to get a chance to tell your story. And that's why it's important that you tell your story and the reason why it happened, okay? Because I think there's a good reason why it happened. Because of the frustration. There's a good reason. It's not, and what I mean by a good reason is you just didn't do it for something to do. Okay, woke up that morning and said, you know what, I'm going to hurt Soph this morning because I've had enough of her crap. It didn't happen that way. I'm sure of that. But it happened for whatever reason. Cody made you mad. She made you mad. You know, you lost it, you didn't get any sleep the night before, you're tired,
She's thrown up.
she's throwing up all week, you're cleaning up her throw up, you really want to be home, so you're just like, That's what we need to understand. You understand what we're saying, Jen? We need to understand what pushed you to that point where you just, lost it there for a second. What pushed you to that point? That's what we need to know. That's important, because if not, it's just going to go down as this is the doctor saying, this is what happened, this is when it happened, and this is the person who was there. You understand all that? So we need to understand, because if you have a reason why, it's going to make things better. Because then people understand why you did it. Not
They
that
can
you just-
relate.
Right.
I understand why she did it. Not, she's just an evil person and she did it for no reason because she just wanted to hurt that baby. They don't know. That's not you. That is not you.
Not
That's
an evil
not you.
person, are you? I was going to say, we don't see you like that. Okay?
We see you as a victim.
Right. I see you, yeah.
Victim of your environment.
I think, yeah, unfortunately, you're a victim too. You weren't hurt, fortunately, but I think you're a victim too of Cody taking
You're a
advantage of you.
kid. You are a kid, hon. I know you're 18, but you're still a kid.
Yeah, he
Taking
would
care-
always say, "You're 18, you can do what you want. Just move in with me. It'd be easier on both of us." And I told him I was afraid. I never stayed the night at anybody's house before, and it seemed telling me there every time I'd go.
And I think that's why when you shook so, I think that's why you did it, because you were out of your element. You were out of your comfort zone. You were so far away, so far removed from who you really are. With your dad seems like an awesome guy. I'm sure your mom is too. I don't know her, but it seems like you came from a good family. You get thrown into this, and like I said, I know Cody. I know that he's a druggie. I know that he's a thief and he's a liar. And I wish I could have told you all that before you moved in with him. I'll be upfront with you. He's not good for you. And I know you love him, but I'm telling you, nothing good is ever going to come out of your relationship with him. Obviously, okay. But I just think that he made you a victim. And when people are closed in, and we talked about this the other day. When you're somewhere that you're not really who you are, you turn into somebody else and you do things you wouldn't normally do. Like, would you normally shake a baby?
No.
No. Okay. You wouldn't normally hurt anything, probably. Am I right? You probably don't even like to kill a bug.
Well, unless it's a fly.
Okay.
I have to kill them.
Okay. But you're not a violent person generally. You're in a situation and you become somebody else because you have no way out. All you see is these walls. And I'm talking about the walls of the house. You're in there with Cody. There's no way out. And so what do? You react. You shake the baby because the baby won't stop crying. You can't get away from it. Okay? And we need, like I told you, we need for you to write your chapter in this book. Not the doctors to say, Jen did it because Jen was the last one with that baby and she is a killer. And she meant to kill that baby. And she meant to harm that baby. And she meant for that baby to die. No, I don't believe that. Okay, I believe an accident happened or you made a mistake. Okay, but we don't know that unless you tell us what happened. Okay, all we can say is the doctors are saying she hurt that baby and she meant to hurt that baby. And the doctors are saying it was her and she had to do it. She did it. She did something very violent to that baby. And she meant to do it. She knew what she was doing. I don't believe you knew what you were even doing. I don't believe you knew what you were doing. I don't believe you even know how to raise a baby. Because you are a baby. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, kids end up hurting kids all the time because they don't know what they're doing. And what I mean by that is mom and dad leave a 15-year-old home with a baby. And they ended up killing it because they don't know what they're doing. The baby's crying. Oh, I'll just hold his mouth. Oh, the baby, they suffocate it. Stuff like that happens. And this is kind of the same scenario. I do believe you don't really know. You had no parenting skills. You didn't get sent to school. You don't have a baby of your own. And what happens when you are pregnant? Like say you would have had so. You develop motherly instincts. If you don't have a baby in your belly, you don't develop those. And they just don't come on because you move in with a child. You know what I mean? they have to be developed, or you have to go to school to learn how to be a good mom. Okay? So, I mean, Jen, all the signs are there for you, to hurt this baby, but I don't think it was intentional. I really don't. You are not a bad person. I think you made a mistake and you're afraid to tell us, but I don't think you're a bad person. Okay? I do believe that. But in the same token, you need to tell us what happened. You need to be 100% honest with us throughout your stay with Katie, throughout your stay with Soph. What happened with Soph? What happened that morning? What happened that week? Which led up to this. Okay, we need to understand what happened, hon. I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
Let me ask you this. What happened that morning? Was it intentional or unintentional?
Yeah, I didn't do anything, so
No, answer my question, okay? Was it intentional or unintentional what happened?
Did you mean to do something bad, or
did it just
was
happen?
it a mistake or an accident?
But I didn't do nothing, so it'd be.
No, listen, you have to be honest with us, okay? But you also have to be honest with yourself, Jen, okay? And I don't think you're being honest with yourself, okay? Because I think you're scared, which I don't, that's understandable, okay, in the situation you're in. And I don't think you're being completely honest with yourself. I think you're telling yourself, you're trying to convince yourself that nothing happened, knowing that it did happen. I really think you're trying to convince yourself of this, okay? You need to do the right thing for Soph, and you need to be honest, okay? Are you trying to convince yourself?
I don't know.
You don't think? It sure appears like that to me. I don't know. You think?
Yeah.
I think you're trying to convince yourself.
It's like blocking it
out and not wanting to accept responsibility that it's going to change it. It's not going to change it if you don't accept responsibility and
You'll feel better.
Man up, for lack of a better word, okay? Man up to it and accept what happened and deal with it, okay? Blocking it out, not bringing it out, continuing, that it didn't happen is not going to make it go away, okay? This isn't like maybe something in high school where, maybe if you ignore it for a while, it'll go away. This isn't that type of thing where it's just going to go away like that, okay? Somebody at school picking on somebody, or I don't know, that's maybe a dumb example, but something that'll go away in a couple of days if we just don't talk about it. So if we just don't talk about it and I think it didn't happen, then it just won't happen. But that's not the case. This is real. This isn't fantasy. This is real. This happened. You can't block it out and ignore it because it happened. And it's not going away. So you need to be honest with yourself. That's the first thing you got to do. You have to be honest with yourself and say, yes, this is what happened. And yes, I have to do the right thing and tell them what happened so we can make it right. Okay, you understand that?
Yeah. That's what everybody's saying at school. Well, my friend Tasha Hahn, she messaged me. She's like, there's so many rumors going around that Cody did all this stuff to her. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, these are just rumors.
Jen, why won't you take this polygraph? Well, be honest with me.
I have no idea.
You don't know?
It just looks like a lot.
It's not. It's not. It just basically says if you're lying or not. So if I asked you if you harmed Sophia that morning, which would be Friday morning, that would be one of the questions I would ask you. It's not real involved or anything like that. Just simple questions. And it would, if you didn't do it, it would clear your name. For that morning at least. And we know you did some stuff before, but at least for that morning, did you harm her that morning? Did your actions cause that injury that morning? Something along those lines. Can you answer that honestly?
Yeah.
Yeah, so why wouldn't you take this?
I don't know.
What are you afraid of?
I just never took one before, so it's kind of
Intimidating?
nerve-wracking or whatever.
But a lot of people don't take them, thank God. You've never been in trouble in your life, which is a good thing, That's That says a lot. You're 18 already, never been involved with police. Am I right? This is the first time?
Other than getting like chased on like a dirt bike, but that's about it.
Okay.
I wasn't driving though. We almost died.
Who was driving?
My now not so good friend Nicole Miller.
Okay. I mean, Jen, I keep going over this because I think there's more about you shaking the baby. I think there's other times, and I just think you're afraid to say it. Let's take Friday morning out of it, okay? You're telling, we have video of that, okay? So we're going to see if you did something to the baby, okay? So let's say I believe you with that, okay? Let's take that out of the picture. Let's go back. When was the last time you shook the baby?
End of October.
Okay. So close to November. Okay. Do you remember what night it was?
No.
Okay. I think that's where a lot of things that you're leaving out right there. I think you shook him more than twice. I do believe that. You agree with me there? Maybe a little bit more.
I just remember twice.
See, if you use that discipline twice, it leads us to believe that you would use it more than twice, okay? Because usually people use the same type of discipline usually on a regular basis, okay? So if you felt comfortable, even though you felt bad afterwards, if you did it a couple times, I agree. I think you've done it more than twice. And that's your sticking. For some reason, you don't want to admit to yourself that you've done it more. You think that's going to make you look like a horrible person if you tell the truth?
No.
No? Okay. I'm just trying to figure out why you don't want to just tell us and be honest with us.
I mean, you didn't do it 100 times, right?
Oh no.
You didn't do 50. You did it a couple times. Am I right?
Like twice or twice.
Twice or what?
Twice or twice?
I think you were getting ready to say twice or more. You've done it more than twice, haven't you? Please be honest with
Please,
us.
Jen.
Just twice.
No.
You just said
You said twice or and you're getting ready to say it and you're at twice. Because you know what? You were getting ready to say more. That's what I'm saying. You got to be honest with yourself. Okay? Even if you're not honest with that, you got to be honest with yourself. Okay? This is going to eat you up alive if you don't. You're not going to be able to move on with your life till this is resolved. Believe me. Because it's going to keep haunting you over and over and over and over. That's why it's important for you to tell us what happened, because you're not going to be able to move on. It's going to haunt you and haunt you for a long time. But if you come clean with yourself and your conscience and you say what happened and make it right, then I think you can move on. It's a hard thing. It's going to take time, but I think you'll eventually be able to heal from it over time. But as long as you continue to lie and not be quite, honest about it or honest with yourself, then I don't think you're going to be able to heal even yourself.
And Jen, you have good parents. They're going to love you no matter what. Just like I know I love my kids no matter what. And if you have children, you'll be the same way. They're your children. You can confide in your parents and you can tell them the truth. And they're still going to love you. They're not going to blame you for anything. Okay? I know that. I can tell your dad's by your side the whole time. He loves you no matter what, hon. And he understands. He does. And he knew that Cody was bad news. He knew something bad was going to happen, and something bad did happen. Okay? But you sitting here and saying 2 times, that's not true. I'm here to tell you that's not true. I get a vibe that it's been more than twice. Okay? Am I right with that?
I guess.
No.
No.
No, hon. I'm not putting words in your mouth. I would never do that. But you did it more than twice. Am I correct?
I only did it twice.
You're 100% certain you would put your life on that twice, only 2 times. But before, when you said 2 times, or what were you going to say?
Nothing. I don't even know why I was saying or. It's just an instinct. Twice or.
But it was around the end of October. And then the first time was?
The beginning of
October. And nothing in between there. Jen.
Because his mom got her for a week
Well, that doesn't
or
change
a
anything.
couple
That doesn't change
days.
anything, hon. You did it more than twice. I know you did. I know that. And that's okay. That's okay. It doesn't doesn't mean anything else.
It's not gonna make any
You
difference
can
at
do
this
it 2
point.
or 3 times.
Right.
In fact, if you did it 1 time versus 5 times, it doesn't really make a difference. Okay, but we just want to be accurate with the number of times. Okay? So you did it beginning of October, end of October, when else?
Those are the only 2 times that
That you want to say,
I can recall.
that you can recall. How about when she's throwing up and stuff, being a pain in the butt?
Yeah.
Because you're probably whiny.
I wouldn't want no more throw up. That 5 or 6 times it was good enough.
So, did you do it any other times in October? In the middle of October? Okay, and you're 100% certain that not in November? How do you remember the one at the end of October? How do you know that?
Yeah, I remember everything.
Okay.
Then you should remember what happened that morning then, right? If you remember everything, you have a good memory.
Yeah.
Okay. So you need to think back and tell us everything that happened that morning. Tell you what, let's take a quick break, is that all right?
Yeah.
You want a drink?
Oh,
You
no.
want something to drink? Let's take a quick break, and what I want you to do while we take a quick break is think about what we've talked about, okay? And think about, we talked about, being honest with yourself and doing the right thing for Soph, okay, to make things right. Yeah, things went bad, but let's make them right now, okay? So think about that for a few minutes, and we'll be back in here, and we'll talk about this, okay? You ready to get this taken care of?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Does that mean you're ready to tell us what happened?
Everything was the same.
I mean, everything was the same.
The same usual morning routine.
Well, that morning routine, did that count a little shake?
No.
Was that normal for you? Did that become part of your normal routine?
Well, let me ask you this. I think we've been doing this a long time, okay? And after you do it for a while, you kind of get a feel for people when you're talking to them and whatnot, okay? And I think you're not being completely honest with us, okay? I'm just going to tell you up front. I'm not going to lie to you, okay? I don't lie to people, and I tell people this all the time, and I don't even think I told you this on Sunday, if I remember correctly. And I'm not sure why, because I always tell everybody this. I always tell everybody, I'm not going to lie to you, and in return, I don't expect you to lie to me, okay? I like honest people. I don't like liars, and you say you don't like liars, okay? So I think you want to say what happened, but you're scared for whatever reason. That's why I was asking what you're afraid of, okay? I can understand that you'd be afraid. And I think you want to tell the truth and you want to do the right thing, but you're afraid to for whatever reason. Okay? Am I right? Are you afraid to tell us the truth?
Yeah, I'm just afraid in general. Like, I never had this happen before.
Oh, I'm sure not. But are you afraid to tell us the truth in this case?
I've been, but.
Well, you've been, but
I'm
here's the
afraid.
problem. I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I don't know. I think you've told the truth maybe 7 or 8. I don't know, somewhere around there. But I think there's just that little bit more truth that you don't want to say, because that's the part you're scared of. Okay? I think you have been truthful for most of it, but I still think there's a little bit of truth that you're not willing to say. And I'm being honest with you. Okay? I'm not just saying this. I really don't think you're being completely honest. I think there's something happened that morning, and that's the important part. That's what we need to know. Or the night before even, maybe. I won't even get all caught up in that morning. Let's just say maybe earlier that morning, maybe even the night before, a couple days before, okay? I think there was other things that happened than just twice.
I think something happened in November, at the least. I think you want to tell us that, but you're afraid because of where we are now. But honey, it's not going away. Okay?
Yeah, I know.
It's not, you know, and you look like I said, from the medical doctors they're saying, you know, Jen did this. She meant to do it, but I don't think that's true. I don't. But I can't stick up for you. Corbin McGinnis can't stick up for you unless we know what happened. Okay? How the hell is to get through to you with that? All right?
I mean,
You're not a bad person, but I think you made a couple mistakes here with Soph. Okay? And Soph, like I said, Soph's up in heaven now. She's not in any pain, you know? She's having fun up there. She's running with the other kids, okay? She's in a better place, guaranteed. You believe in God, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
she's
you-
in a better place.
so you believe that, right? Because I think that's, and that's what's helped me in the past with like relatives that die or whatnot, that I believe that, because really that's what, if you believe in God, you believe that heaven's really the better place. So really, we're the ones that are suffering, so to speak, here on earth, right? In everyday life, because there's so much turmoil and problems and decisions to make and things that we got to do. And this is really the hell, so to speak, excuse the language, on earth. But that's really the place where things are happening. That's the place you want to be. So this is like where we do our time in
Like jail.
and so, you know, if you look at it that way, she got to go up there at a young age. You know, a lot. So it's all what you believe, okay? And if you believe in God, you know that she's in a good place, all right? So, but the other thing is, if you believe in God, that you have to do the right thing, okay? And I'm going to tell you a little story if I can. I hope I don't bore you too much. But I know this priest, and I asked him one time, because we deal with things here at work, like kids who are molested, okay, and different things, you know, at work, and people who, you know, do things or whatnot. And I asked him, I said, I'm just curious, and this was Catholic priest, so you know they have confession. You familiar with that? I don't know if you have friends that are Catholic or whatnot. So they, you know, they go to confession. That's what that religion believes, that you come in here and you tell the priest what happens and he absolves you from your sins. Okay, you go whatever, once a month, every couple months. But, you know, a lot of other religions, they believe that you can just do it yourself or however that works. But if you're Catholic, you go there, you tell the priest, and he absolves you and says, I forgive you for your sins. So anyway, my conversation with this priest was like, okay, so if someone comes in there and everything you say in that confessional is like confidential, okay, it's like going to a counselor or whatever, a therapist, everything's confidential, okay, and they can't. So if you go in there and say I did this wrong or whatnot, they can't tell the authorities, okay, because you're protected there. So that's like your safe haven. You can go there and tell them anything that you've ever done, and they're not to tell anyone, okay. So I said to him, isn't that tough? Because what if someone comes in and says that they did this or that? How can you not want to tell somebody if you know they did something wrong?
Like molest a child.
Yeah.
To me, that's up here.
Right. That's like probably the worst crime ever, right? We'll agree on
Molesting a
that.
child.
Or like murdering or something.
Right.
Yeah.
That's bad. So,
Yeah, intentional.
right, intentionally. So how can you not tell anybody? He said, well, he can't because that's just the way it works. But he tells these people that, okay, but I'm not going to absolve you from your sins, which I didn't realize they couldn't do. Okay, so he said, I tell him I can't absolve you from your sins until you do the right thing. So if you go to the authorities, he tells them, and you do the right thing, you go and admit that you did this or that, and you get the help you need, then you come back, then I can absolve you from your sins. But until then, I'm not going to absolve you. So does that make any sense?
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with it? It's kind of, like I said, it's kind of a dumb story, but you said you believed in God, so I guess I'm just trying to say, and this all goes with what we were telling you about being honest with yourself and being honest with God if you believe in God. And if you're honest with everybody, then you can be absolved, so to speak. You can be absolved from what happened, and you can move on. But you have to have that, you have to ask for forgiveness, I guess. And you'll be forgiven, but you have to admit also that you did something wrong in order for you to get that forgiveness. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And I kind of see that here because I think you want to do the right thing, and I know you're scared. I don't blame you for being scared, all right? But you need to do the right thing for yourself, for Soph, for everything. Okay? And the right thing in this case, but what I mean by the right thing here is you need to be completely honest with yourself, okay? And that's what's gonna make you feel better, I believe. All right? That you come clean and you tell us everything that happened and you're gonna feel better about it. Do you believe that?
No, yeah.
Okay. Do you believe if you tell us 100% what happened, you'll feel better?
Yeah, I've been feeling better because I've been telling you guys.
And Jen, I want you to know this, that the doctors, they want us to just go ahead and arrest you. They want to say, that happened that morning, that girl needs arrested. And we've been going back and forth because we said, we want to know if it's an accident. We want to know if it was a mistake she made. It's a lot different than just intentionally killing somebody, okay, versus an accident. Totally two different things, I think, So doctors are on our butts because children's hospitals like that. Whenever they get a shaken baby, they say, okay, it happened that morning. She was the last one with it. There's no other suspect. She was the only one. And what happened within minutes of the baby becoming comatose? That's what they're telling us. It has to be you. Okay. That's their version, okay? I think there's another version. I think there's some mistakes that were made, an accident maybe that happened. We want to be able to understand what happened. I don't necessarily believe that you intended to hurt this baby. I really don't. And I know I've been saying this all along, but unless you tell us what happened every day, if you shook it more than twice, you need to tell us that. What happened that morning, if there was an accident, you need to tell us that. Because like I said, the doctors are getting ready to hang out to dry, saying Jen did this, she meant to do it, there's no doubt in our mind. I don't believe that. That's where I disagree with them, okay? I believe that something happened that was an accident, I don't know. Am I wrong or am I right? I don't know. It was an accident? Was there an accident somewhere? Was there? Was it an accident?
No.
Or did you intentionally mean
No.
to kill the baby? Huh? Did you mean to kill the baby?
No.
Or was it an
I
accident?
could never kill anything but a fly.
Okay. Did you do something? Did you make a little mistake? Was there some type of accident?
Let's look at it this way, Jen. You shook her before, you admit to that. And she was fine, as far as you know, right?
Yeah.
Nothing happened. So when you shook her, you really didn't think that action would cause any kind of harm, correct?
Yeah.
So you didn't know, maybe until now, that shaking a baby can cause brain damage. Did you know that before this?
Did you ever hear about
Did you ever hear about that?
No, I know in health class, me and my friend did something about it, but we didn't research it
Right.
that good.
Okay.
You would.
Right. So you didn't know. You're young. You're like your Barone said. You don't have those parental instincts. So you're not familiar with that. So when you did that these couple times before, okay, you didn't realize that they could have complications that would be serious like that. Okay, correct? So you did it and you felt bad, but you really didn't realize that there could be harm come to her. Okay, and so last Friday. You still didn't know that doing that would cause harm to you. You didn't know that till after the fact, correct? Because you did it before and she was fine. So if you did it again another time, you assumed she would be fine again, right? But this time, when it was done, she wasn't fine, okay? And I think, here's what I think happened. I have my own little thing what I think happened. I think you were upset. I'm still going to blame Cody because you're upset with him because if I may say, he pissed you off royally Thursday night. Is that fair? So you're still mad at him come Friday morning. And so, lied to you, peed in her pants, whatever, something upset you, okay? So you're a little rough with her, all right? And not knowing that those things that what you did as far as how you disciplined her would harm her. You gave her another little shake Friday morning. Okay, but here's the other part that I think happened. What caused? Okay, that caused some damage. That caused some damage that morning. All right, But then there was this delay in the medical. You said the doctors mentioned that, right? There was this delay in the medical time, okay? Because you weren't sure what to do. And that again is because you're young. You haven't ever been in a situation. You panicked. You didn't know what to do. Like, oh my God, what can I do? And we've all been there. I had situations with my kids where there was emergencies, and I deal with emergencies all the time here at work, but when it's your kid, it's totally different. When it's your kid or a kid you're caring for, it's like, oh my God, what do I do? And I'm thinking afterwards, I should know what to do. I do this all the time at work. But when you're personally involved in the situation, it's a lot different, okay? So with that all being said, I think that, you got up, you're mad, frustrated, maybe tired, you didn't sleep very good that night because you were all pissed at Cody. You get up and Sophia frustrates you, so you give her a little shake, okay? So that's part of what caused the harm. The other part of the harm is from the lack of time it took to get medical attention to her, okay? Then again, that is, what would we call that? That would be, what would you call that? That lack of, what do you think that is? That you panicked and didn't know what to do, okay? So lack of knowledge, we'll call it, for your lack of knowledge on what to do. That delay and you're getting her help instead of calling 911, you're calling other people, okay? That lack of that, it slowed down the whole process. So that did some harm also. Not intentional, because you didn't intentionally not call 911, right? Did you intentionally not call 911?
Well, I didn't know what to do until Diz came down. She's like, call 911.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you did not call them just because you didn't want to call, right? You just didn't know to call them. So that was just poor judgment on your part. To be honest, okay? Well, let's face it, that was poor judgment. That you didn't have the knowledge to know that you should call 911, okay? Poor judgment, okay? So that all factors into all this, okay? So the lack of you seeking medical attention for her right away, that played into some of it. And then this other, shaking, it all together is what happened. That's all together it caused this, okay? So again, it's back to what we're saying. You just didn't wake up and say, you know what? I can't stand that kid. I'm just going to do something to hurt her today. No question in my mind. You didn't wake up that morning and set out to hurt her. No doubt in my mind, I would never believe that. I would argue against that. You agree with me? You didn't wake up and say, you know what? Screw Cody. I'm sick of his shit. I'm just going to harm this child this morning. No, don't believe it. Do I believe you got up and you're mad at him, you're frustrated with her, and here she is back to the same shit she does every day. That's what I think happened. That's what I think happened. He triggered you because of your anger towards him. She makes, she does something, pisses you off, and you're just like, you know what? I've had enough with both of these. I just, I wish I never came in this house. I should go back to my parents. I'm sick of this whole situation I'm in. Gave her a little, oh, Sophie, stop it. I'm sick of your crap. Stop it. Am I right?
Oh, what happened?
Yeah.
No.
I'm not right? Am I right in what I just described happened?
Friday morning.
I didn't shake her Friday morning.
What did you do then Friday morning?
Got her dressed.
Besides that?
That's it.
You throw her down?
No.
You grab her head and push on her head, or did you ever push her eyes in like you do your own because you're so frustrated? Like, you have your hands right there and like, yeah.
Trevor, look at me, Soph. I mean, she's trying to get her arm in. You're frustrated. You're angry, Cody. So stupid she can't get her arm in the right hole. I mean, doesn't that piss you off?
No, really, like, she should wait, but
Exactly.
she just goes.
But you're angry that morning. You admit you're angry that morning, right?
At Cody, yeah.
Right. But you're angry to begin with, okay? So most people when they're angry at something, it doesn't take much more to trigger something because you're already angry with him, right? And then you're like, here's another day. Here I am. You're already angry at him because you told us you were mad. You told me this Sunday you were mad at him or maybe that was out at the hospital, I forget which day, but you were mad at him because no one was paying attention to you that Thursday night.
It was all focused on Ronnie and Steph and all of
Right, so that made you
drugs and
angry.
everything.
Right, so that made you angry because everything was focused on them again. And everything's always focused on Cody or Sophia, Cody, Sophia, Cody, Sophia, Cody. You see what I'm saying? It's always them, family, them. What about Jen? Here's Jen who came in, saved the day, taking care of the kid, cleaning the house, cooking the meals, da-da-da-da-da. Does anybody ever say thank you? No. They just continue to treat you like the slave that you are, and no one ever says, boy, we need to thank Jen because it really, she really deserves a medal for what she's been doing. She comes in, takes care of the kid, the house, Cody, da-da-da-da, but you don't get that. All you get is nothing. You get nothing. They get everything, you get nothing. Frustrating. It is.
I'm used to getting everything, but.
So you're frustrated because you're used to getting the attention, right? So now, you at home, your parents, I'm sure, gave you all the attention, and all of a sudden you're put in a situation where you're not getting anything. You're just like, everybody's ignoring you. You're just like a fly on the wall. No one's paying attention to what you're doing. Right? Frustrating.
At first I was, but then it died off in September.
Died off. But it still makes you angry, doesn't it? You're mad because Cody broke up with you on Facebook. I mean, just think of all the things he's done to you. All this that just happened, and he tells you, he says on Facebook, I'm single. Doesn't even have the decency to tell you in person.
He's probably looking for another girl by now, I'm sure.
Yeah, he says he doesn't have girlfriends very long, like a month or.
What's that tell
longer.
you? What's that tell you? What kind of guy is that?
A man or.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, whatever. But you know what I'm saying. You get the picture. So I guess I'm with Trooper Road, and I just don't understand. So you're sitting here and you continue to tell us that there's nothing else that happened that morning. Then why not take a polygraph?
It just looks like a lot.
It's not a lot.
Yeah, but it's not. I explained it to you. It's based off your fight or flight. If you don't lie, you don't have reactions, then you pass it.
It just looks like a lot.
It's not. It's real simple. I mean, I could test you to say, have you shook soap more than twice? A simple question like that. Okay. I mean, would you pass that question if you answered no? I don't think you would. Okay, I think you shook her more than twice. All right, and you agree with me? You failed that question on here. I know that. I can tell. I don't need this machine to tell me that you shook her more than twice, okay? I can tell by body language when you answer that question, okay? I know that, Jen. I mean, we're trained to look for body language, things that happen whenever we ask you a question. And that's one question where you are repeatedly deceptive right now, okay? I'll be honest with you. You're lying about that. I know that, okay? I know that. I know that you're lying about the 2 times you shook her. I know there's more. No doubt in my mind, okay? And you can sit here all day and tell me it's just twice, but I know it's more, okay? I'll be upfront with you. I've been honest with you from the beginning. I'm not going to stop it, okay? I mean, you agree with me? Agree with me? You shook her more than twice.
Okay.
No, Jen, I don't want you to... No, hon. Be honest with yourself. Have you shook her more than twice?
No.
Have you shook her in November?
No.
Have you done anything to harm her in November? Are you sure about that? Have you tossed her?
No.
Have you shook her in November? Have you gouged her eyes in November? I mean, like I said, we'll get those videos and we'll be able to see. I'm just giving you the opportunity to tell us, you know what I mean? Because it makes you look better if you're honest with us. Just like you came forward about the 2 times you shook her, I mean, I expect you to be 100% honest with everything that's happened between you and Soph. That's the only way that we're going to get past this. That's the only way that, that you get to put this behind you is tell us everything, okay? I don't know what, I mean, like I said, we both think you're a good kid, you're a good person. You know, you shook her twice, you made 2 mistakes. I think you shook her more than that. Like I said, I'll be honest with you. I think something happened that week, you know, to put her into that state. All right. Like she's throwing up, you're cleaning it up, and you lost your temper again. My God, I don't know what I would do in that position. I really don't. 6 times in one day, and you're the one cleaning it up. Or that jerk lays on the couch and sleeps when he gets home from work. I don't get it. I don't know how. I'd lose it. I don't know what I would do. I'd probably harm him too. Okay, I would just lose it. You know, so nobody blames you for anything. Okay, but we do expect the truth. We expect 100% of the truth from you, from beginning to end. Okay, and I think you've been somewhat honest, like Corporal McGinnis, maybe 70%. There's about 30% out there that you're still holding back. Okay, you agree? You're leaving some stuff out. Okay, because that's usually how it works. People tell a little bit of stuff because there's something holding them back. There's something they're afraid of. Like I said, the doctors want us to arrest you, lock her up for criminal homicide. That's the truth, Jen. They want us to lock you up. They say there's no way anybody else could have done it. Okay? And, my theory is that, yeah, you did play a part in it, okay? But you didn't mean to. You didn't mean for the baby to die. I don't believe you meant for the baby to die. I don't think you'd ever harm anything. I just think you were to a point in your life where you're frustrated. And, you did what you did with her,
I think too that, like I said earlier, I think what happened caused harm, but then the lack of medicine caused additional harm.
And that's not your fault.
And that's not your fault. That's what that's what I was trying to explain, and I hope you understood what I said. That's what I'm getting at. So it's kind of like there's actually 2 things that happened here. The incident itself, and then the lack of medical attention promptly. Okay? So the combination of the 2 of them, I think, led to Soph dying. Okay, now I'm not a doctor. That's just my personal opinion. I think the fact that the injury happened, and if she maybe got the attention right away, maybe it wouldn't have been as bad. The outcome might not have been as bad. Okay? I'm just being, I told you I'm not going to lie to you, okay? That's my personal opinion, okay? But at the same time, the doctors aren't looking at it that way. They're saying that you did this, and this is what happened, and like Trooper Ronan said, I think it's a little bit more complicated, so to speak, because of there's that two-step thing, okay? You did this, didn't get medical attention, combination of things. Okay, so I don't know. You need to tell us so we can. That's the type of things that need to be explained. Okay, so when we understand what happened and then this lack of medical attention, it needs to be looked at as part of the whole thing also. Okay, and that makes a big difference. What happened. It's intent versus non-intent. Did he intentionally do something? He didn't intentionally do it. That's the difference. Okay? Let me give you an example. I just saw this example. We've had fights like this or whatnot. We just had one not too long ago. Guy has a bad heart or whatever. Okay? And people are fighting, and next thing you know, they start shoving each other around and pushing and shoving, yelling. The guy gets all excited, he has a bad heart, drops over dead. Well, oh my God. You're the person fighting with him, you're like, oh, I was fighting, but I didn't want that to happen. Just a little disagreement, 2 guys fighting, you don't think that big of a deal, right? Can you imagine if you just, pushing, shoving each other, kind of duking out a little bit, and the other guy drops over? And it's like, oh. So then it's like, is this murder? Or is this something else, a fight where he died of natural causes, and this might be a contributing factor to it, but he didn't intend, when they agreed to start fighting over whatever they were fighting over, his intent wasn't for this guy to drop dead or to die, okay? You see what I'm saying? So that wasn't his intent. So that makes a difference. So he says, yeah, I'm fighting with the guy, but, I didn't, it's dropped over. When he dropped over, I backed off. I didn't really hit him that hard or whatnot. You see the difference?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how this is, because I don't think the intent wasn't you sought out for the end result to be this. The end result was you wanted her to be quiet, or you wanted her to listen to you. That's the part I need help with from you, understanding what it was. Did you do this because once again, she was a crying brat and you wanted her to stop crying? Or did you do it because she peed her pants? Or did you do it because she lied to you? I want to know which one's correct. Why did you do it? Because she was crying? Because she peed her pants? Because she lied? Which you know what I mean? It makes a difference. So your intent wasn't seeking out to harm. Your intent was stop her from crying, teach her a lesson not to pee in her pants anymore, or did you see the difference?
Yeah.
That's why we need you to tell us you're there. You're the person's there. Okay, in your mind, what you were trying to accomplish. Were you trying to get her to stop crying?
She wasn't crying.
She wasn't crying. Was she lying? Were you upset because she was lying to you?
Not really. She does that sometimes.
I mean, not really. Either yes or you are. You are or you're not.
No.
How about were you upset because she peed in her diaper?
No.
Because you're trying so hard to potty train her, and she's just not cooperating. So it's frustrating.
That was the first time she peed in her diaper in a couple weeks.
Okay. So that's even more reason why I'd be frustrated, because you think you got her, you think you have her potty trained, all of a sudden, here she goes again, not.
Yeah, but she was sick, so I didn't really care.
Okay.
So you're making this difficult, hon. You know that. Because you're not telling us everything. And we've been sitting down with you for hours at a time, just trying to lay out the story, okay? Trying to get your version of what happened. Like I said, so we can write what you did. So you can write your own story instead of those doctors writing it for us. Jen did it. She meant to do it. There's no, I don't believe that. Even you shaking the child, like I said, you did not mean for anything bad to happen to the child. But we can't help you. You have to help us help you, okay? And the only way to do that is to tell us every little thing. What led to this? What led? How many times did you shake her? When was the last time? Something happened that morning when you took her out of the crib, Did you shake her when you got her up? You sat her down. I mean, was there an accident that morning where she fell?
Unless she did whenever I wasn't looking.
Did she climb up somewhere and fall? You didn't see her and you're afraid to tell us. I mean, the night before, was there an accident?
There shouldn't have been. Because half the time, from like 4:15ish, she went with his stepmom and his dad, and then she threw up, and then me and Cody had to go pick her up.
Yeah, you took her to Du Bois that night, right?
Yeah.
Did anything happen on the way home? Were you right in the back seat with her? How when you got home?
We were all fine. He asked her if she was hungry, if she had to pee, and she said no, and then he laid her down. We almost died on the way home.
Yeah, you just fell
that.
asleep.
How do you want this to end, Jen? Do you want this to end with we're stuck with what the hospital's saying? You want it to end that way? I mean, you know what I'm saying? If we don't get from you, then we're stuck with what the hospital's saying.
The criminal homicide intent.
You understand that? We're stuck with that unless we get you to say what really happened.
Yeah.
You understand that? So is that how you want it to end? With us having to believe their story and their medical opinions? And is that how you want it to end? Or you want it to end with what really happened? That you and that has to come from you. You want, which version of it do you want to have, to end with, theirs or yours?
Hey, Jen, do you understand the seriousness of this?
Yeah.
Do you understand that you could be arrested for criminal homicide? Did you ever think that in your lifetime that would happen to you?
No.
Okay. And there's two ways you can go with criminal homicide. You could go with you meant to do it, you hated that baby, you were out to kill it from the beginning. Or you go down the road, like I said, where there were some mistakes. It was accidental. It's however you want to paint the picture. Okay? Doctors are saying it's criminal homicide. She meant to do it. We disagree. We think there was an accident. We think it was an ongoing thing. We think that, you were just frustrated and that's what led us to this, okay? Not that you wanted to kill that baby. You had no idea. And even when you didn't seek medical attention, you did call Diz. She's the one who told you, just sleep and let her go. That's not your fault. Right. That's not your fault, okay? So that goes back to her, and she's going to live with that the rest of her life because she might have been able to save that baby's life if she would have just stepped up and said, call 911. You don't know that. You're not a mom. She's a mom. She should know more than that, right? Okay.
She said whenever she came down that none of us were parents. Like, she was, including herself in that.
Really? Okay. Well, we know Cody's not a parent. He acts like an immature boy, right?
Well, I'm sure she's beating herself up about not
coming down. She could have saved the
listening to you earlier. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure she's beating herself up saying, I should have, whatever. I'm sure that
she had to drive down there anyway because she had to drop off Cody's little sister.
For the school bus.
Yeah.
She dropped the ball too. But you see, you kind of tie our hands if you don't tell us everything that happened. If you're saying you shook her twice, and I'm not saying this couldn't be the result, this couldn't have been why she's where she is. I don't know that yet, okay? But you shook her in October, and you're saying that's the last time, so then you bring us up to Friday morning, okay? You're saying absolutely nothing happened, but the doctors are saying 100% certain it happened that morning, and you were with her. That girl's lying to you. Plus she did it, plus she meant to do it because it's been ongoing the whole time. She meant to kill that baby. She was just killing it slowly is what I think they were saying. Okay? I don't believe that. I don't think you knew what was going on. Okay? I just think that you were just you were just doing what you know. You know what I mean? Just like how you discipline yourself. That's what you know. That's what you do. When you potty trained her, that's how you think it goes. You don't really know how to do it because nobody told you how to do it. You're just kind of winging it, right? You're winging raising a baby, okay?
Cody would yell at me whenever she'd pee in her pull-up. He's like, I'm trying to save these pull-ups. They're expensive. And she'd pee in them because I wouldn't take her.
Yeah.
And I'd put her on there every hour, whenever they said to, and she wouldn't go. She'd just go in her pull-up.
But Jen, when you say you won't take this, like I said, it makes you look guilty. Are you guilty of doing something that morning? I mean, did you harm her that morning in any way? By you not taking this, that's what you look like.
This would actually help you. You understand that? You take the test and you pass the test, that's gonna.
That'll wipe you clear for that morning.
Yeah.
Okay? The baby's going to have an autopsy done. So we're going to know everything that was wrong with her, from beginning to end. Okay? Plus we're getting all her medical records. She started to develop signs of abuse once you moved in. And I think it was you shaking her. I do. I don't think you knew what you were doing to her, but I think that's what it was. Okay, hair loss is a sign. Black eyes are a sign. All that are indicators of child abuse, shaking baby. Okay? Did you know that?
No, I didn't research it good enough in school.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's what we were saying earlier. So you didn't realize, because even though she appeared fine after you would do these acts, So you didn't think you were doing any harm. I mean, it's internal. It's not something out where you could see it. You understand? So you didn't realize that it was causing her harm, but that it was. And you didn't realize it. And again, that's just for lack of knowledge, not knowing that how serious that can be, using that type of discipline.
I should have researched it more in school.
Yeah, you wouldn't have done it then. You know that? I mean, is there anything you want to tell us, Jen? Is there anything you're leaving out that can help you? Jen, where do we go from here? I mean, should we, then you get arrested for criminal homicide and just leave it like that? And do you understand, hon? You get what's going on here?
Yeah.
You're not worried.
Yeah.
What are your questions about it?
I don't even know.
Do you think you caused the death of that baby?
I have no idea.
Do you think your shaking caused the death of that baby?
It could have, but that Wednesday, whenever she was crying so much, whenever I told her to go pee,
Yeah.
and Cody put her on the potty hard and then smacking her butt and then laying her down, it was pretty hard to put on her diaper and everything and flinging her up over his shoulder.
But you see, the medical people are saying that this would happen within, so if that's, she would have developed those symptoms like that she did Friday right after that, if that was the case. Do you understand what we're saying?
Yeah.
That's what they're saying, that it would have been immediate. So if he did what you're describing, you know, a little hard that night or whatnot, that would have been something that would have happened. She would have started having the same types of problems breathing and whatnot that she did Friday morning within, you know, a few minutes or so from the injury. You understand that?
Jen, is there anything that morning that you can think of that may have caused her to go into that comatose, that jerked her head? I mean, think about it. Something triggered that. You may not even remember what it was unless you really think about it.
Because it's like a whiplash type injury.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, it's like something that'd be like a whiplash. Was there any type of thing that happened like that? You know what whiplash is?
Yeah.
Like a back, you know, quick back and forth. So was there anything like that her head would have back and forth, of like a quick back and forth somehow?
I can't think of anything that happened that morning.
So where do we go from here, hon? Should we just arrest you on what we got?
No.
Why not? Why not? Why shouldn't we arrest you?
Because I didn't do it.
You didn't do what?
Anything to her.
Well, you shook her. Right?
Twice, a month ago.
But the doctors are saying you have to be the one.
And you also just said when you were asked the question, did you believe you did anything to cause the death of Sophie? And you said you didn't know. And then the second question you were asked is, do you think that your shaking her caused her? And you said you didn't know. That's what you said. You believe me? That's what you said.
Yeah, but I don't know if that could cause it.
Will you take this?
I want to, but then I don't.
Why
I
not?
don't know why.
I know why. What's the worst thing that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen?
Failing it, but that just looks like so much, and you guys say it's not.
Like I said, I just test you on the morning of. Because we know you shook her before, so we would just do the morning of. You'd have nothing to lose by, because the doctors are saying already, so I said you have nothing to lose by taking it. You know what happened that morning, right?
But nothing happened.
Okay, well then,
Then you should pass it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, but I thought it was voluntary.
It is
It's
voluntary,
voluntary.
honey.
Oh.
But it would be a way to clear your name for that morning at least. Okay, we're still gathering a lot of information. We got the video footage we got to get yet. The autopsy of Soph. We're going to look at all that information. There's still a lot out there that we got to collect. Okay. This is just another piece of the investigation. Investigation's a puzzle. We're just piecing it together. And right now we have a big piece missing about Friday morning. You know, with what really happened. And the only way to clear it up is for you, right? It is voluntary though. I'm not going to hold a gun to your head and make you take it, okay? But if you didn't do anything, I'm telling you, it is in your best interest to take it. Unless you're leaving a little piece out that you're not sure it might have been the thing that caused it. You don't think it did, but it might be what triggered it, but you don't think it did and you're afraid to say it. Anything like that? That's something that you don't think it was the reason why she went to that coma, but it could be.
No, unless she hit her head off something whenever she got up from peeing, but
Did you see her hit her head on anything?
no.
Okay.
I didn't hear anything either.
Okay. So we'll take that out. She didn't hit her head. You're saying you didn't shake her, you didn't grab her head, you didn't jerk her around. There's a big piece missing there. Is there anything that happened that week, Jen, that you think maybe would have triggered the Thursday or Friday morning thing? That you would have done?
Other than Cody, but I've been cleaning up her puke pretty often.
Well, I guess, I'm not sure. I think you guys talked a couple minutes before I got in here. What changed your mind? Because I think it's Sunday you said take it on, I'm getting all my days confused. Sunday you take it on Monday, right? You came in. And now then Monday you said you take the polygraph today. So like you keep saying you'll take it. And then when you show up here, then what changed your mind? I thought you were going to take the polygraph today.
It's just, I'm fine, and then freak. My dad's like, I know I'd be scared too and nervous and everything because you never took one. And I'm like, yeah, I am.
Because you keep telling, you know what I mean? We keep saying next day, next day, next day, next day. And then when you get here, it's like. So now if we were to ask you if you take it another day, you'd probably say, what would you say then?
Oh,
Sure.
You'd say sure, and then you'd show up, and then you went.
Yeah, we'd be back.
Then we're still back to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's, I think a lot of it is you need to be honest with yourself about what happened. I really do believe that. I think you're trying to block out what happened and keep telling yourself that didn't happen when it did. You keep telling yourself, no, I didn't do anything. No, I didn't do anything. But you know you did deep down inside. You know there was something that happened that morning, but but you're trying to block it out for whatever reason. You don't want to be honest with yourself. You need to be honest with yourself as well as us, but the first person to be honest with is yourself and then us.
And Jen, we have enough to arrest her for it, but like I said, we don't want to do that without knowing the whole truth. Like I said, we both believe that it was some type of mistake or accident, not that it was intentional. We do believe that. I do believe that, that you did not mean to harm her in any way. And I don't think it was anything major. I think it was something minor that happened. And then, like Corbin McGinnis said, you called Diz, and Diz says, she just passed out snoring. Let her sleep, Or she would probably be fine today. It was probably because the oxygen got shut off to her brain for so long is why this all happened. It was like an hour or so. Mm-hmm. That's not your fault, okay? This could all have been prevented, I think.
You made a call. Grant, you didn't call 911, but you still made a call, which is a good step. So you tried to get help, okay? And that's what I was trying to explain to you. I think that lack of is not necessarily your fault. Like we're saying, you called for help. You went to an adult. I mean, you're an adult, but barely.
Yeah, not really.
But you called to an adult who has children, who's a mother that you trusted and thought would make a right decision. And then you even went a step further because when she kind of blew it off as nothing, you called Pee-wee because you still thought this isn't right. So you did take action to try to get it, okay? So like Trooper Rowan said, the fact that the lack of time is probably that the oxygen to the brain, that makes a big difference. Okay. But you tried to get help. Okay. And then it seems like nobody really wanted to, I mean,
Pee-wee had time.
Right. Pee-wee came down. But even when Pee-wee came, you guys were like, still tried to get more help. You called her grandmother and called Diz again and whatnot.
So it wasn't, she'd probably still be alive today if Diz would have told you the right thing to do. Diz should know. Diz has kids, but she sounds like she was a little bit too busy that morning to care about what was going on down there. But I tell you, Jen, like we told you, bud, it's not going away, and we want to know what happened that morning, every little detail. And, like I said, we have enough to arrest you. I don't, but I want to hear what you have to say about it. You're telling us nothing happened. It just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. There's something you're holding out. There's something there. And, it's going to eat you up, I'm telling you, unless you let it out. Just nobody blames you. Nobody, none of us do. I can tell you that doctors do, but we don't blame you. We don't blame you. You're a kid yourself. You really are. You shouldn't have been put in that position. And that's that. Like I said, ultimately, who it goes back to? I don't care what you did. It ultimately goes back to Cody. Putting you in, taking care of his child who he doesn't really even care about.
We don't blame you because we've heard the whole story, or most. I'll say
Some of it.
Some of the story. I shouldn't say all of it. Some of it. So we understand. The doctors didn't hear the part about how you're left to care for her and what he's out doing the drug. They didn't hear all that. Okay, they didn't hear that.
Was I supposed to tell them or?
No. I'm just saying.
I'm glad you told us.
No, you're telling us. You're telling the right people. I'm just saying that they don't. The medical people don't hear that end of it. They just look at it from the medical perspective, okay, and think, this girl killed this kid, but you see what I'm saying? But we say yes, his baby died, and you did some things that but we look at the whole big picture. What caused it? We're not like them saying, yeah, she killed that kid. Yeah, the baby died in your care. Some actions that happened. But look at the whole big picture. This is what led up to it. We look at the whole ball of wax, so to speak. Not just the incident itself, but what led to it, okay? Cody taking advantage of you, on and on. And we went over that 1,000 times. You see what I'm saying? So we look at everything. So we understand.
And there can be different outcomes for that, you know, in regards to arrests and stuff. If you go out and you premeditate, if you attempt to kill somebody, you go out and you say, I'm going to kill this person, and this is how I'm going to do it, and then you go and do it. That's totally different than, you know, getting in your car, looking down at your radio, and hitting somebody head on and killing them. That's an accident. You know, it could very well happen to any of us. Would we feel terrible? Yes, but we didn't want to kill anybody. It just happened. Versus a person that said, I'm going to go out and kill this son of a gun because I don't like him and I'm going to, you know, knife him, whatever. So there's two totally different homicides, but they're both homicides, but they're different. You understand what I mean? And different avenues. So when they go to court, they go different routes because this was intentional, this was an accident. Okay, this was a mistake. I went down with my radio and bam, somebody's dead. Didn't mean for it to happen.
It's treated differently in the law. That's what, you understand that? So the penalty is different for the scenarios. The penalty is different as opposed to if you intentionally did something versus unintentionally. You understand that? Okay. So the person who just, as she described, you know, looked down and ran into somebody, that wasn't intentional. So the penalty is different than someone who set out, you know, grabbed their gun, went there, knocked on the door, and
Blew somebody up.
right.
And I think with you, I think that, you know, whatever, it was an accident. I do, or a mistake, you know, either or, which they go hand in hand, you know, out of frustration. I do believe this is how this happened. You were stuck, you had no other alternative. And you have to take your frustration out on something. And Soph was one, you know, I do believe that. But I don't think you meant for anything to happen to her. It just did. It just did because of the circumstances that followed it, because she didn't get medical treatment. You know? And that's not your fault. That's not your fault, that part of it. You did what you were supposed to do. You made that call. But before that, that's what we got to get ironed out. What happened? You know, what happened in November? What happened that morning? You know? Was it an accident? Like, you know, like I told you about with the guy looking down on his radio and smacking somebody, you know, and killing somebody. That guy didn't mean to do. I've seen it happen. I've handled crashes that happened. And you feel terrible that you didn't mean to kill anybody. It just happened. You know, and I always feel bad. I feel like the people that, they're the victim too, because they didn't mean for anybody to die over their mistake by looking down at the radio. You know, and I think that's where we are with you. I think there was a mistake made, you know, and now we are, you know, we're here. And now we need to set it straight. We need to get the record right. We need to write your version of what happened. Okay, not the doctors. Your side of the story, hon. How are we going to get that, you know? How are we going to get your side of the story? Unless you talk to us about it. Okay? Going to talk to us about it?
I've been.
I know you've been, but we need more. We need more information, okay? We think there's more out there. You know what I mean, Jen? Well, what else is out there that you left out?
There's nothing out there.
Nothing out there that morning. It was an accident. It wasn't intentional. Are you sure of that? I don't think you intended. I think it was an accident. I think you made a mistake. Can you agree with me? You made a mistake?
Before,
Yeah. Well, how long before?
went to 2.
Are you sure it's just 2? You're 100% certain. You would tell Soph, I only shook you twice. If Soph would come down here from heaven, that's what you would tell her? So if you know I only shook you twice, what would her answer be?
Yeah, I have no idea. She can't really talk.
No, she can talk now. You can all talk up there. Would it just be twice?
Tell you what, do you want to, have you want to just take a quick break and maybe take a couple minutes you want to think about the polygraph anymore? Or how about we just take 5 minutes here? You okay? You want to drink or anything?
No.
You all right? and then
I'm
maybe just,
just starting to get a little hungry.
all right, well, maybe we'll come back in and see what you want to do, huh? Give her a few minutes to think about it.
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
And see, like you said, it is voluntary, you're right, so just take a few minutes and think about it, okay?
So what'd you decide?
I want to, but then it's a lot.
So that's a no. Just say yes or no, honey. It's not gonna, I don't take it personally. We don't care, you know. I want you to be who you are, you know. I want you to tell the truth. I want you to be honest with us, you know, and all that. If you don't want to take it, just say, I don't want to take it. I'm not comfortable with it.
Well, I didn't want to be rude or anything like me wanting to leave. I don't want to be rude and be like, I want to go.
Well, you have to be honest.
Yeah, if you want to go, you tell us.
Right.
We don't care.
Yeah.
We don't say, oh, no, believe me.
If you're sitting there talking to us like we are, we assume you want to stay and talk.
Yeah.
So you have to tell us if you want to,
Yeah,
okay?
remember I told you.
Well, it just seems rude.
Mm.
Like, oh, I want to go.
Well,
Yeah.
so she said she didn't, you don't want to take, I just took them back, so you don't want to take the test, is that right? Or yes or no? What was the answer in that? I didn't hear.
I want to, but then it seems scary, so I guess not. It just looks like a lot.
All right. Is there anything else that you want to tell us, Jen? Okay. Like I said, you know, we talked about the doctors wanting to arrest you for criminal homicide murder. You know what criminal homicide murder is, right? You don't know what that is?
No.
Whenever you kill somebody, you get arrested for murder?
Well, yeah, that, but
Okay.
not the criminal.
Criminal homicide, okay, that's the same thing.
Same
Oh.
thing as murder, yeah. That's just a
Okay.
fancy name for it.
Yeah,
Oh.
murder. And we're gonna hold off on that, okay? We're gonna wait for some stuff to come in, we're gonna view some things, and we're gonna give you the opportunity to tell us everything. Is there anything else, Jen? Now, I'm telling you, your best bet's to be honest. Is there anything else that happened that morning, that Friday morning?
No.
How about shaking her? How many times did you truly shake her?
Just twice.
Just twice? Okay. Well, here's what we're gonna do. Do you wanna leave or stay?
What else is there?
Well, that's pretty much.
What do you wanna do? Work here? What do you wanna do?
Oh, no.
If you want to stay, we can go work.
Yeah, we got work back there for you.
Is it like homework? I miss doing homework.
No, it's not fun work. Will you come back in and talk to us again after we get some more information?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we're trying to make the best case we can. And what I mean by that is we're trying to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, okay? And I'm going to tell you, Jen, though, if you're withholding anything, hon, you're only hurting yourself, okay? You need to tell us everything. You know what I mean? And at a scale 1 to 10, I asked you this the other day, how honest are you being?
Honest.
1, everything comes out of your mouth is a lie. 10, you're not lying about
No,
anything.
I'm not lying.
So how do you fall on that scale?
Well, I'm being honest.
But on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're telling the complete truth, 1 being you're lying about everything, where do you fall on that scale 1 to 10?
Well, I say 10, but
What?
you guys probably say different.
Okay. All right. So did you tell your dad about everything we talk about and stuff, or don't you guys talk?
No.
No, you keep everything in? Okay. You like talking to us?
I don't mind it.
I'm not sure I like talking to me.
All right.
Well, why don't you think about what we talked about today? Okay, we'll give you a little homework. If you miss homework, this is your homework, okay? Seriously. Think about what we talked about. We talked about a lot of things, and you've talked about a lot of things from you've been here, 3 times now?
Yeah.
And at the hospital, so we talked a lot. So you have a lot to think about, all right? And I really want you to sit and think, and like I said, about this being honest with yourself and the need to do the right thing, okay? You need to and really, Sophia deserves to know what really happened too, right? We all deserve to know. She deserves to. Don't you believe that she needs to know? I mean, I know she's not with us, but she's watching. She needs to have justice, right? Wouldn't you agree? That, it's only fair to her for the true story to come out what happened?
It all is true, but
Okay, I'm just saying, well, think about this. If there's something that's not, I know you're sitting there saying that everything is true that you told us, and I believe everything you told us is true. I believe that. Here's what I don't believe. I believe everything you said is true, but I believe there's more that you haven't told us. How's that? That's what I believe. And I think Trooper Ronan probably agrees. I believe what you told us is true on, in the past and all that, but there's also things you haven't told us. That's where I have the problem with what you haven't told us. Not that you're being dishonest about what you've told us so much as the fact that you won't tell us a few things that I think happened. So that's what I want you to think about. And, we ask you to come back up and you think about that and maybe we can get all this out, the things that maybe you're holding back so we can get this taken care of once and for all.
And like I said about those videos, I mean, Jen, I hope you're not lying about any of that. That those nanny cams, those surveillance cameras that were placed in the trailer. Because if you did anything else to sew besides those 2 shades, or you did anything that morning, it's all going to be on video. You understand that, right? So before we view that and say, okay, she lied to us, we want to give you the opportunity to tell us, okay, is there going to be anything on there besides those 2 times?
Do you understand what these nanny cams are? What they were, huh?
No.
Okay, they're like little cameras, like video surveillance, like in a store or something. They call them nanny cams. What happens, why they got named that, is my understanding, is people would buy them, like, people probably had money because they had nannies, okay, to take care of their kids. You've heard of that, right? Rich people have, they work and the parents go wherever and do whatever, and they hire these nannies, live-in people to come in and take care of the kids and basically raise their kids while they're out working or doing whatever they're doing, okay? So they pay usually it's rich people because nobody else could afford it. So they bring these nannies in, and the idea behind it is that if they were concerned with how these nannies were caring for their children, making sure their kids were taken properly care of, so, they install these little cameras in their house so that when they were away or working or whatever, then they could come home and view these and make sure that no one was doing anything to harm their kids. All right, so that's my understanding how they got the name, the nanny cam or whatever. It's basically people used it to protect their kids who were being cared for by other people. Okay, so that's what it is. So it's basically like a video surveillance in the store, or
But in a house.
But in a house, right? It'd be like at Walmart or whatever, but it's in a house and it records what goes on through the day. So you understand that. So it's recording all day, and obviously they're placed so no one knows they're there, okay? So it's not something that you saw or like, So they were positioned so they wouldn't be visible to the person, okay? But they would still record. So then when you can take these and then they download them to the computer or whatnot, the images on there of what was going on. Okay, so that's what Trooper Ron's telling you. If there's something that's, it'll be on there. Okay, so then, you don't want to have to be explaining later. Now would be your time to explain, as opposed to later when you look at this and see this happen, and you're saying it never happened, and then your answer, and then you have to explain, well, look here, we got right here in black and white, we'll show you on the computer, you're doing this. You said you never did this to Sophia. You understand that? So
yeah.
It's right there. So that's what that is. So
is there going to be anything on Thursday that you didn't tell us about, or Friday, I'm sorry, that you didn't tell us about?
Are you sure? How sure are you?
I'm really sure.
Really sure?
Is there going to be any other times that you shook her? Are you sure about that? So when we look at those cameras, we're not going to find any surprises with what you already told us. Are you sure, hon?
Oh, yeah.
Sure, Jen? Okay. All right, so we're gonna get those cameras back. We're gonna get the autopsy. back on her, on Soph, and then, some other things we're working on right now, okay?
All right,
Okay. Ready to
ready
go
to
out,
get out of
bud?
here?
Where do you just want the stuff here?
Yeah, just-
Yes.